it's really a journey to inner space.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start looking at the micro, you discover what's on the macro. And so in quantum physics and subatomic physics, you want to find out when you look at the smallest scale of things, it gives you almost an identical mirror as to what's going on the larger scale. So I began to realize that God is us and we are God, and that God is on a data collection mission. And the whole premise of this third dimensional realm and human beings operating in this realm and potential other alien beings and everything else throughout the entire universe are all doing one thing, very simple: collecting information and sending it back to the source. Summarize it, it's like this. The human brain is encased in darkness. It can't see, smell, taste, hear. It knows nothing that's going on the outside, but it does have friends. It has a sensory perception, so you can touch something, you can smell, you can hear. But it says to his friends, go out and bring me back some information. So the friends go out and they touch and they smell and they taste and they hear and they see, and they bring that data back to the brain. And then the brain takes that data, and then the friends don't know what they have. They only have the information. They got to bring it back to the brain. The brain then sorts it all out and projects a hologram as to what's potentially going on outside of itself. And we navigate through that hologram based on a projection from data collected by our sensory perception. I then took it to the macro, and I said, okay, so the universe is a mind. God is part of this universal mind, this universal consciousness, and there's only one consciousness. And it has really separated itself into Googles of entities, because Google's a number, and it separated itself into, Google's an actual number. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's not a search engine.
Oh my God.
Me, you, a blade of grass, even a rock, a tree. And so all of these living things that exist throughout the entire third dimension are all doing one thing. They are transmitting back to source all the information of what it's like to be a blade of grass, what it's like to be Billy Carson, what it's like to be Danica Patrick. And so the universal consciousness is actually taking this information and it's actually collecting this data to analyze what is it like to operate through this grand experiment of this third dimension. It's a learning process, and we're all a part of that. And so God has literally imbued every atom in the entire universe with this divine consciousness. And we know now through every single individual atom, it has electrons orbiting it, and those electrons can make conscious decisions based on observation. We know this because of the double slit experiment in quantum physics. So because every atom is conscious, that means that everything made of atoms is conscious. So this whole universe is one entity experiencing itself subjectively as ghouls and googles of entities and things that exist and things that we think are inanimate. Like even this microphone, for example, is made of conscious atoms. So this microphone is not just an inanimate man-made object. We didn't make this microphone. What man did was stack conscious atoms together like Legos. And then because of the format we stacked them in, it allows us to utilize this as a microphone. And so it's all about understanding that we are God and God is us. It's in everything and we're in everything. And separation is an illusion. Division is an illusion. Distance is even an illusion. Everything is actually all one. We've been given this grand experiment through the third dimension to experience the illusion of these things. But in reality, it's all about sending information back to source. And it starts with us. We all are God walking in the flesh. There's only one consciousness. If you can imagine a radio station in your neighborhood, it's transmitting out all these frequencies, right? 99.1, 99.2, 99.3, so forth and so on. And so what it's doing, that one central location is sending out multiple frequencies, right? Waves of light. And then you have a receiver, and that receiver's, you tune it to pick up 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. And so that's what's happening. I'm 99.1, you're 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. My avatar body has been designed to encapsulate point number frequency of the one consciousness that's already being transmitted from one source. It gives me the illusion with you that we're two separate beings, but in reality, our spiritual energy is coming from one source. You just have picked up a slightly different frequency of the source, and I did as well. So I'm attuned to 0.1, you're attuned to 0.2, and so forth and so on. And that's how it actually works.
So it's a frequency.
It's a frequency. God is a frequency. It's our job to tune in. God is not a man. You hear people say reference God as him, he. they have this illusion that there's this sky daddy with a magic wand floating around granting wishes. That just really, in my research, isn't the case. It's more of a frequency, a divine frequency that is imbued in every living thing in the entire universe.
It's a real amazing story. We were living in New York. I was born in Queens, New York.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Queens General Hospital, 1971. And my parents, were having some issues there. My father was having some issues with drugs and alcohol. And they decided, they had a great idea. Let's move to Miami. So
a lot of people from Queens end up down there.
Yeah, so they went to the cocaine cowboy capital. And we get in Miami, and we're living in the hood, in the ghetto, in Opa-locka, in the Bermuda Triangle part of Opa-locka, which was the steel gate that they put around the city to keep the crime on the inside. And as you know, there's an Opa-locka airport nearby. We go outside, because back then, 70s, right? 1977, there's no cable TV, there's no cell phones, no screens to look at, no tablets or anything. You go outside and you play. I'm outside looking at the airplanes go over, just observing how long it took for them to go from horizon to horizon. That was like the exciting thing of the day back then, because we couldn't go and play out in the neighborhood because it was so much crime and killing going on. We could only either play in the backyard or in the front yard, and we couldn't leave the gate parameter left or right. If we passed that, we get in trouble. So I'm out there watching, and I see this object go across, and I'm like, it cleared the horizon in seconds, not minutes. It literally just, and I know I saw it. I'm like, I know I just saw something, but it was more of an oval, almost like an egg. It didn't have wings, a cockpit, didn't have a tail fin, didn't have anything that looked like a plane. And I'm just looking, I'm searching, I'm scanning the sky for this thing, and it comes back. But this time when it comes back, it's lower. It's about, maybe now I can estimate about 200 meters above my head, and it's completely silent, and it stops. It comes to an immediate stop, and then it just stays there for like 3 or 4 seconds, and it just takes off the way that it came in.
But something else they discover in the process is that they create microscopic black holes. So originally, a lot of people were getting scared about this because they were like, man, if you guys create a black hole here on Earth, will it suck the Earth in? I mean, kind of fair to assume, like, black holes are supposed to be pretty deadly things. Even light can't escape them. Mm-hmm. So why create one here on Earth? But I think, in my opinion, is that part of the work going on at CERN is to learn how to create stable wormholes. What Einstein and Rosen called an Einstein-Rosen bridge, where you take space and you fold it and make a hole, punch a hole in between to make a connection, a shortcut through space-time. And so it could be learning or trying to experiment, either by accident or on purpose, how to create a stable wormhole. How do you create one and hold it open? The biggest thing is holding it open. You take a piece of paper, bend it like this. So you had a pencil, you could poke a hole right through. So you can go from point A to point B. Instead of traveling over the length of that sheet of paper to get mine, and another professor, a theoretical physicist named Rosen, they call it the Einstein-Rosen bridge, was a theoretical name for this type of hypothesis on how to create a wormhole, or what a wormhole would be, how it would operate, how it would work. Create them, but how do you keep it open? How do you make it stable for something to pass through without collapsing? Now, NASA recently discovered something called X-points around Earth and also around the sun. These are naturally occurring portals that open and close every single day, all around the outside of our planet. The Themis satellite system discovered these portals a few years back, and I've been analyzing and watching them. Some of them create direct pathways to the sun and even to other planets in our solar system. So these are called X-points. They exist all around the outside of our planet. They're where magnetic diffusion points hit and cross, like our magnetic fields hit and cross. In some way, combining that crossing of electromagnetic fields with charged particles from the sun opens up a portal. So portals naturally can occur in nature. You don't have to make them artificially. So that's pretty interesting. All we have to do now is learn how to harness that power, and we can travel through space. We can go great distances without having to put ourselves in hibernation pods and things like that.